a rough day.
Okay. Commissioner Nunn, would you mind praying for us?
Sure. Everyone bow their heads, please. Dear Heavenly Father, we ask that you come into this room and bring your presence. We know that you're always with us, but especially for our group here and all the residents that have come. We ask that you shed your light of love over all of us and help us make the right decisions with your guidance, Heavenly Father. I pray that you will give us all the support that we need to make the right decisions for the citizens of Sumner County, Heavenly Father. And I ask that you also protect the residents once the meetings are over, and all of us, that they will have safe passage home. I ask this in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen. All right. We call this meeting to order. This is the Committee on Committees meeting on Tuesday, October 11th, 5 p.m. Do I have an approval of the agenda, a motion to approve the agenda?
I make a motion to approve the agenda.
Second.
All right. Commissioner Teachner was the motion and Miller was the second. So all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, passed unanimously. Approval of minutes from September the 12th meeting. Do I have a motion?
A motion to approve.
Motion Commissioner Nunn,
Second.
second Commissioner Holmes. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. Recognition of the public. This is our Committee on Committees meeting, which is dealing with committees. It's not the Legislative Committee agenda, which Top 10 will be on later. So I don't know if anybody wants to speak to any of the committees. Mr. Javance, if you would, if you come up forward, please, and state your name and address for the record, for the record keeper.
Pascal Javance, 1335 Longmeadow Park. Thanks for having me tonight. I just heard today that there was an opening on the Airport Authority Board. I didn't see that before. I don't know if that got advertised or not, but that's kind of my specialty, so I would like to be considered. And what do I need to do for it?
Would you be able to submit a resume or
Yes,
just
sir.
a letter to, probably send it to me?
Okay.
Yeah, pass it along to the committee.
Okay,
Okay.
that was all.
Oh, easy enough?
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, anybody else from the public wish to speak?
Good afternoon, folks. My name is Bruce Carter, and I'm on the Board of Trustees for the library. And first of all, I want to thank y'all for allowing us this opportunity to be here tonight. We have several of our board members. If you kind of stand up, shake your head, whatever. And we also have the new nominees for our board here tonight. If they would like to stand up, we're really excited to have those people potentially joining our board. I know that's one of the decisions y'all will be helping us make, but these people we're really excited about joining us. Also, a couple of things that you have in your paperwork on Beth Key's term is not up. She's not up actually for a couple of years, so that's a mistake. And what is up for tonight is renewal for Donald McFarland. So if you would make that change, I would appreciate it. But we're here to answer any questions, provide you any information that you may need from us. And for that, I'm going to introduce Beth Topic, who will go over our vetting process that we went through for these new nominees. But again, thank you for your time, and let us know any information you may need.
Hi, I'm Beth Popick. I'm one of the trustees on the Sumner County Library Board. And I just wanted to thank you for allowing us to kind of explain the vetting process that the Library Board goes through to nominate the trustee members. Our Personnel Committee ensures that all the vacancies, positions are posted publicly on both the Sumner County website as well as the individual social media outlets for all of the libraries. And that any citizen interested in applying can fill out an application online or in person at their local library. These applications are then allowed to be given to the subcommittee and are discussed, and we look at the strengths each candidate may have to enhance our library, such as grant writing, nonprofit, finance. We would like to enhance this library board that we have. The committee is looking for people who are willing to engage their time and effort to increase our library system's commitment to the community. According to our bylaws, the trustees are required to represent the area that they are supporting and applying for. They have to dedicate many hours to training to get a state trustee certification and do continual education and commit themselves to the bi-monthly board meetings and participate in a subcommittee. The Personnel Committee then interviews the candidates and recommends those who fit the criteria for any position, and then they bring those to the board. The board then looks at those qualified applicants, and then they forward those people that they've nominated to the county mayor, and then the county mayor then sends it to commission approval. The library board has worked really hard to become a transparent and efficient governing body. And this board is no longer that lethargic entity where they were just competing for cakes and goodies at the board meetings. We're working to better efficiently manage and provide community-oriented systems and help our citizens, not just by lending books, but through lots of different other things. And if you have any other clarifications that you need, please feel free to ask us at any of those questions. Thank you for your time.
I do have a question.
Yes, sir.
So you said Beth Key, that 3-year term expiring October 2022 was not correct?
That is not correct, no. The correct answer for Beth Key
July
is
2024.
July 2024.
Okay.
So the 3 that we've nominated are up, and then Donna McFarland, who is up for re-evaluation.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Any other citizen comments? All right, seeing none, we will close public comments. For the chairman, I do not have any specifically right now yet till we get to the items. Report of the county mayor.
No report,
All
Mr.
right.
Chairman.
Old business, there's none. New business. First up is the Music City Airport Authority. As far as the commission recommendation, I know that Mike Ryan submitted his resume, and I know there were some questions, I think, from committee members or comments. But I'd move to open the floor for discussion.
I spoke to Mr. Ryan this morning, went over how he was contacted to be on the board, who contacted him, what his values were, what his forecasting would be for the airport, the knowledge that he had about the airport. He answered all of my questions. The only concern I have is that I did talk to several people at the airport that work out there, and the concern that the people out there had, some of the people, was that the board, in a way, in the past, has not been transparent. That's been somewhat of, I don't want to use the good old boy statement because that's used too much. It's kind of workarounds, and they didn't feel like they had input. And so Mr. Ryan and I talked about that. He seemed to have a good attitude. He's been a pilot, and I asked him, it was a 6-year commitment, so we kind of talked about that. I feel like we need to have more resumes to look at. This is a 6-year commitment, and I feel like that's a long time. That's 4 years plus 2 more. 4 years is my term, and the other 2 years, we're not sure, and things can change in 6 years. So I think we need to really look at more, get more people to apply for it that are qualified, to get a better base for that, because that's a big commitment for 6 years. That's a huge project out there. There's going to be a lot of money spent on terminals and things that will affect Sumner County and the city of Gallatin. We talked about that as well. I told him I didn't care for the traffic, and I didn't mean on the ground. I meant above my head. And he said, well, you know, that's something we have to get used to. I said, no. In the middle of the night, a jet wakes me up coming over my house. I have an issue with it. So we talked about that. And so I do think we need to have more diversity in far as applications. So I'm not real sure right now.
And can I say, I spoke to him briefly. He was with his family. I had a great conversation with him, but it wasn't very long. I didn't have any major reservations about him, but I do believe that I like how that Commissioner Janung went a lot more in depth with him than I got to. I just didn't want to take his time because he happened to be with his family, I think, in the car. And so, but of course, I was partial to Air Force vets, but he seemed, you know, I didn't have any real hang-ups on him, but I do like the fact of that. I'd like to see more of an opportunity to look at Pascal too, with him being interested. I don't like anything with just one option, so it'd be nice if we did have another one. So I agree with what you're saying, even though I had a good conversation.
Right,
with
and
him.
it wasn't a bad conversation at all.
Yeah.
But I do feel like that when you look at commitments and you look at how long they are and the effect they will have on our community and our county, I think we really need to look outside the box and see who's out there. I know we have more than one person in this county that's qualified. Not that there's anything wrong with Mr. Bryant, but I think we need to really, you know, interview more people and find out who's best. And that's my opinion.
I'll make a motion to defer this to November. I can entertain a second.
A second.
All in favor, say aye. Any opposed? All right, we're gonna move the Airport Authority to November. The West Fork Creek Reservoir Dam Authority, that's one that I guess we need to research. I'm gonna recommend we defer that to November as well. Research as far as like a little bit more what that's about, what it does, the statutory requirements, is it needed? Since there's only one member from Portland, and so I'll entertain a motion to defer that, so I'll go ahead and move to
I'll
defer.
defer it.
All
I
right.
motion to defer.
Motion by Commissioner Young, I got a second?
Second.
I suspect it's something where we had a grant that said you had to have a committee,
Oh.
and so a committee of one was probably made.
Okay.
That's about the only reason I could think to have a committee of one.
Oh,
So we'll
boy.
defer it, and then we can just discover whether
Figure it
it's
out.
necessary or not, I guess, maybe between now and then, move that on. All right, the library board, I did have a bunch of people reach out to me about that, and so, I appreciate the library board making recommendations, but this is a county commission.
I'm sorry, I don't think you voted on the first deferral, the airport. I know
Did
you
we
took
not?
a first and second.
Oh, maybe not.
All right, well, I thought we did, so all in favor, so I'll make a motion to, again, defer the, Music City Airport Authority, recommendation to November, and if I can entertain that second.
Second it.
All right, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, that's unanimously. Library Board, 3-year term, there, I guess, are 4 spots instead of 5 up right now. And so I did have a lot of people reach out to me. I know I think Mr. Hyde did as well. So I appreciate the Library Board coming and having your nominees, but the Library Board is it's an operation of the County Commission. It's funded by the County Commission and how things run. And so I know there's been a lot of unfortunate problems over the past year and a half that I've seen with the Library Board. And I think it definitely needs a fresh set of outset eyes, in my opinion, to kind of look through. We're going to be talking about Library Board tomorrow night, budget. So there's, I didn't know the Library Board was so controversial until the past year and a half from now. So, and our library system. But there was a slate that I'd like to recommend for the committee for this. I'm not sure who matches up where, but I have four people to recommend. Without objection, but Beverly Hyde was one. Also, Debbie Martin was another one that I had. It's Debbie Martin, Martin. Citizen Joanna Daniels, Joanna Daniels. And then Diane Johnson approached me about being on the library board, so would like to move to nominate her as well to be on that board.
What was the second name?
Second name was Debbie Martin. So Beverly Hyde, Debbie Martin, that's 2 B's, Debbie Martin. And Joanna Daniels was the third name. And then Diane Johnson was the 4th name, if there's only 4 spots. Any discussion?
Can you tell us a little bit about the applicants, since we're trying to make sure we've got them?
So Beverly Hyde, that's Chairman Hyde's wife.
Right.
I've been very involved for a long time, so I think you could probably speak to her credentials a little bit better than I could. But I know she's been super involved and concerned citizen and something that she would desire to do. And I thought she'd be a good fit representing that portion of Hendersonville. And considering Hendersonville makes up the majority of our library system as far as like,
Yeah.
you know, what happens. It's a large bulk of that. So,
Okay.
Mrs. Hyde. Debbie Martin was a citizen that reached out to me. She actually works for the state, very involved with legislative stuff. She works for the lieutenant governor. And she has come and spoken at meetings. Her and her husband, Tracy, have been involved for a long time with what's going on in Sumner County government and with spending concerns with overgrowth and just what's happening throughout the county. So I know they've been very involved, of course, being involved in state government as well and understanding things from the state level.
Fiscal conservative.
Very fiscally conservative for Debbie Martin. Joanna Daniels is a local mom and that is just, I guess, really concerned about curriculum in the schools and what's in our libraries and about what is happening in our school systems as far as like just curriculum. And I know there has been some good things, and she was recommended to me by some other commissioners. And so I think she'd be a good fit to just really looking at what kind of information is flowing in and out of our libraries, you know, and especially as our kids are in there.
Students, yeah.
And then Diane Johnson, she used to work for the library system. She was the former director of the Hendersonville Library and had reached out to me this summer expressing interest and concerns that she had with the library board and the system and how it's run. And so I thought she would be a good voice on there to I guess, have a different perspective
Okay.
and things to say. But as a library director, she also has a background in the business world for about 30 years. I spoke with her and doing consulting in business processes and systems and almost in auditing, I guess, almost like not like the comptroller level, but sort of like that. So I know she has a keen eye for those types of things and efficiencies and systems. So that was a little background on her.
Okay. Thank you.
All right. Seeing no other discussion, I will move to approve these four for this. Did you have something?
Are you aware of what Ms. Johnson's, the nature of her departure with her employment?
I'm not fully aware. I'm a little aware, I guess. You know, I guess there's two sides to every story.
Yeah, I'm not going to just go into detail, but she was terminated as the Hendersonville librarian. I think that is something that this committee should probably know before placing her on the board over it. That seems like that could be an issue.
Well, based on human resource issues, that's something you can't talk about. Can we circle her name and circle back?
Well, we could defer it to that
Defer
one
it?
to next one month if we wanted, if you wanted to make that motion.
Maybe that would be better, to
That's fine.
defer it. And that circled name, Diana? Is
Yep,
Diana?
and Diane Johnson.
And then,
So we'll move to defer that slot, I guess, to November.
okay,
And we'll move to, so I guess I'll amend my motion to move to approve Beverly Hyde, Debbie Martin, and Joanna Daniels at this time to move forward the positive recommendation to the full commission. So that'll be my motion.
okay. I'll second it.
All right, Commissioner Gion made a second. Any other discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
Yep.
All right, move on. Equalization Board, that's a kind of a commission thing, so I don't have, it says, state law says to do it in April. If not, the county mayor appoints. I don't know if the county mayor had a recommendation for that one or if the committee come up with one. So I wasn't exactly clear on the law on that one. It's
So-
kind of a weirdly
The-
written.
Which
I
one?
think
Well,
you,
the Equalization Board, which is on the front page, Radford Garrett,
It's-
alternate, has resigned. His term expired in April 2022. State law says to appoint these members.
I don't have that.
Oh, we don't? I must have an old guy.
It goes to
Several.
the solid waste board.
Yep.
I have solid
Was the
waste.
Equalization Board not on it? Is that how I get it?
because that one was a mayor recommendation, because the statute does say that any vacancy will be filled pursuant to in the same way that if the commission did not fill in April, it'd be by the mayor, and the mayor asked us to remove that for this
Okay,
month.
I missed that one. I got two different versions, so.
Well, and let me just give you a background so you know, he was an alternate, and he really is not needed. When we make the appointments for the reappraisal, we would want to appoint some alternates, but he's not needed now, so.
So is this something that you want to appoint next month, or will you wait till like next month?
We'll wait.
Commission wait till
until-
April when we get to that
Yeah.
cycle? Okay,
Yes.
all right, so we'll remove that one then, my apologies. Local Emergency Planning Commission is what I had a different one? All right, I guess you got the first version then. All right, well, Solid Waste Board, I know that was county mayor recommendation. You want to move that to next month?
We're gonna move that to November,
All right.
still looking for applications.
All right, we'll move that to, do we need a motion to move that and defer that? That's it. Yes, Chairman Hine.
John, did you get an application from Jerry Harris? I thought he said he had turned
I've
in
got
on
one,
solid
but I
waste.
can't remember his name.
Okay.
Yeah, so I've got one.
He operates a business, have lots of experience, and I can recommend him
Sure.
pretty highly.
Yeah,
If you'll look at
Yeah,
that
he'll,
between now and.
yeah, he'll be on the list for the committee to review.
All right. I'll move to defer Solid Waste Board to November, without any objection. I need a second.
Second.
Commissioner Holmes was the second first, so all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, we'll move that. Ag Extension Service Committee, had several commissioners reach out for that one. And so Commissioner Terry Wright was one, as well as Darrell Rogers, Commissioner Darrell Rogers, and Commissioner Deborah Holmes, all interested in Ag Extension Service Committee. Commissioner Wright represents the rural end of the county, as well as Commissioner Rogers has kind of a hobby farm, is a county resident. And Commissioner Holmes obviously has 34 acres and a farm and knows a little bit about ag extension. So I move to accept those nominations.
I second it.
All right, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, motion passes unanimously.
I was gonna recommend you for it, I was gonna talk to you, it's funny.
Delinquent Tax Committee, I was gonna move to defer that till November. Haven't had a chance to really look at it, just give us some more time to see who's interested. So without any objection, I'll move to defer that. If I have a second.
Second.
Second, Commissioner Miller. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, motion passes. The Employee Benefits Committee, this was something that the Finance Department asked that we fill this month. And
It's definitely something that has to be filled this month, and we use a lot of consultants that come during the workday, so whoever gets appointed needs to be someone that can come during business hours.
yeah, I was going to recommend Commissioner Bob Brown, who's retired, and Commissioner Terry Boyd, who has availability and background, kind of looking over these types of things. So those, Commissioner Bob Brown and Commissioner Terry Boyd, are my recommendations. So I will entertain a motion to
Make a motion that we.
approve that.
That we approve, to pass on Bob Brown and Terry Boyd for Employee Benefits Committee.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Janone. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, motion carries unanimously. Ethics Committee didn't have any recommendations for county mayor this time, so we'll move to defer that to November. So I'll entertain a motion to defer. I'll go ahead and make that motion. So second by Commissioner Miller. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, motion passes unanimously. Liability claims and a local emergency planning commission, I don't know unless the county mayor has, I don't have anything for these, so I was gonna move to defer both of these to November.
Yeah, I didn't look for anybody for them.
Okay,
So, I mean, I'll be happy to.
Well, no,
But it's up to you.
Emergency Planning Commission was a county mayor recommendation, so I didn't see anything for you that one, but in the
Oh,
commission.
yeah.
The liability claims, I was just kind of basically gonna move to group and approve these two real quick to defer these,
Not a problem.
to November with the liability claims as well as local emergency planning, so I moved to group and approve these. If I can get a second.
Second.
All right, we'll move those to November. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Not opposed, we'll move those to November as well. The Regional Planning Commission had The county mayor recommendations were Darrell Rogers, Commissioner Darrell Rogers, Commissioner West Wind, and Commissioner David Klein. I know there was a question about some of those, and I don't know if anybody had a question.
I have questions. Are we opening it up to discussion?
So I moved that we open up the floor to discussion for this.
Okay.
So if I got a second, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, let's discuss.
I don't have any problem with all three of those names, okay? What I have a problem with is that there are no females on this committee chosen. And we have a commissioner on the county commission who is a female, who has construction background, real estate, knows how to do planning, and is very aware of the issues we have with annexation and zoning. I felt that Chrissy Smith, our commissioner we have, would be appropriate for it because of that, and it would give more diversity to the planning commission. To, not that these guys are not okay, but I do think we need to have some diversity. And so I really wanted to entertain that. That was a concern I had. I felt like, yeah.
The one thing we need to be sure of is there's 5 planning districts, and there are rules about can't be more than 2 planning commissioners from the same planning district.
Okay.
There can only be, and they have to be 1 citizen and 1 commissioner, so you can't have 2 commissioners in the same planning district. So we'd have to look at addresses and determine who can be in there with who, and how that would work out.
Why don't, since it's my recommendation, why don't we defer it to November? Let me look and see.
Okay, sir.
I'll be happy to, because I have absolutely no problem with Chrissy serving. It seemed to me that I looked at it, but I can't swear to it.
Okay.
So I'll look at it, and then we'll see what we can do for next month, if that's okay with you.
Can I say one thing too?
Sure.
So I've spoken with all three who were recommended. I think they're all great choices. And I spoke to Wes Wynn. I was going to say one negative that I had a great discussion with him. I feel like he really cared about the citizens that he represents. I think wonderful conversation. But he said that he felt objectivity and weighing out the facts was really important. He said he's not anti-growth, but he wants responsible growth. He's not a fan of high density. But then he went on to tell me, and I shared this with him, and he said that he really feels like that. He would be okay with an acre down to a half-acre lots. And I just know from my citizens that I represent, there's not any part that's okay with them. And I told him that too.
Yeah.
But he was fantastic to talk to, just for the record. But I wouldn't feel comfortable with him being on this. So just moving forward, I wanted you to know that. I wanted to be on the record that even though I thought he was, fantastic to speak with, that was the one thing that was my hang up.
Right.
And I shared that with him.
Well, and I had that conversation with him as well, and I think the context is that he moved to the city
Yeah, exactly.
to go to a half-acre lot.
Yeah.
It wasn't that he wanted the half-acre lot in the county. When he moved to the city, he moved there and got a half-acre lot.
Yes.
So, I don't think he supports it. It wasn't what I got from him anyway.
In his defense.
And I have no support for half-acre lots in the county.
Yeah, well, in his defense, he said he wouldn't want to deviate from the current zoning.
Yeah.
But I might. I would prefer to maybe deviate to even larger. So there's where the rub is. Not
Yeah.
that he did anything wrong. I just wanted to make sure that
Right.
was on record because
Yeah.
my citizens wouldn't support that. I know my people.
Yeah, and we're going to talk about the acreage. That will be a discussion that we have out in the county.
I'll just add, as far as, I looked at Commissioner Rogers represents a rural area, and so does Commissioner Klein, as far as none of them are in city limits, and Commissioner Wynn was the only one in the city limits, and I personally, I'm in favor of Commissioner Miller just because she represents Shackle Island, and that's like the second target, and I know we got Cottontown people here tonight and talking about preserving those areas, and to me, it's, in my opinion, it's important for me having that representation as a county commissioner, not somebody representing city issues, and so, who actually is in the county, so that's just my 2 cents. But I mean,
Right.
it's
And-
because Jackal Island was my old spot that Commissioner Miller kind of took over.
And I understand that, but the whole county is divided up into districts, not just the unincorporated part.
Sure.
So we still draw from cities.
Yeah,
I mean, it's just, it's the way it's set up. So, so I'll be happy to look at it and I'll get back with you in November.
so I'll make a motion to defer this to November. Do I have a second?
Second.
Commissioner Holmes with a second, so all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, we'll move that to the November. Resource Authority had definitely commissioners reach out about that. Commissioner Terry Boyd, something that she's been interested in for quite a long time, and her and her husband John were quite helpful to me last year on Resource Authority issues, and so I think she'd be a super great asset on the Resource Authority. As well as Mary Janone, Commissioner Janone expressed an interest being there in Gallatin. Would be, I think, a great spot since she's actually in Gallatin and closer to the Resource Authority and representing that area. So without any discussion or objection, for the sake of time, I move that we approve these 2 recommendations.
Second.
Second by Commissioner Teacher. All in favor say aye. Any opposed? All right. Passes unanimously. One more, Tourism Board. I'm going to recommend Commissioner Jerry Becker, Commissioner Shannon Bergdorf, Commissioner Don Schmidt, and Commissioner Deborah Holmes had expressed interest in the Tourism Board. So without any, do I need to read those off again?
Please.
So Commissioners Jerry Becker, Shannon Bergdorf, Don Schmidt, and Deborah Holmes. So without any objection, I move to pass on a positive recommendation to the commission.
Second.
Second by Commissioner Miller. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. I have entertained one more motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
A second.
All right, all in favor say aye.